Hey guys, Toast here, and welcome to another episode of Overwatch How to Play. This is a series that focuses on each Overwatch character's backstory, covers their basic mechanics and abilities, and discusses tips to play each character. Today's focus is Reinhardt. Over 30 years ago, Overwatch was created to counter the threat of the worldwide robot uprising. Reinhardt, a highly decorated German soldier, was brought on as a member of the original Overwatch strike team that ended the Omnic crisis. Reinhardt proved himself to be one of Overwatch's greatest assets. His unique ethics and larger-than-life qualities garnered him great admiration amongst his peers and supervisors. He was Overwatch's most vocal supporter and, at times, its harshest critic, a constant reminder that Overwatch was meant to be solely a force for good. Once in his late 50s, Reinhardt was faced with mandatory retirement from combat operations within the organization. Despite his honorable history in Overwatch, Reinhardt feared that his days of purpose and glory had ended. As time passed and Overwatch eventually came under suspicion of corruption, Reinhardt could only sit back and watch as the cause that he dedicated his life to defending was disgraced. Though Overwatch was eventually disbanded, Reinhardt was not content to remain idle as the world fell into chaos and disorder. Donning his Crusader armor, he has once again vowed to fight for justice, defending the innocent and winning the hearts and minds of many with the promise of more prosperous days to come. Now that we have a little backstory on Reinhardt, let's take a look at the basic mechanics of this larger-than-life knight. Reinhardt fills the tank role in this game and has 300 health, 200 armor, and no shield. This puts Reinhardt toward the very top of the list in regards to survivability. His armor negates 5 hit points from each bullet, pellet, or projectile he takes damage from, making him one of the most damage-resistant characters in the game. Reinhardt's primary weapon is his rocket hammer. The rocket hammer is a melee-only weapon that deals high damage in a wide arc upon each swing. Reinhardt has the most short-range primary weapon of all characters in the game. There is no damage drop-off, but once a character gets outside of the short melee range, they go from taking full damage to taking no damage. As this is a melee weapon, there is no reload to worry about, so you can happily swing away. Do bear in mind though that each swing is rather slow, so plan your swipes accordingly. Reinhardt does not have an alternate fire per se, but he does have his signature barrier field. Reinhardt projects a broad, forward-facing energy shield which can absorb a significant amount of damage before being destroyed. When the barrier is up, Reinhardt cannot attack. The barrier field can absorb a total of 2,000 hit points worth of damage, making it capable of protecting Reinhardt and his allies from primary attacks and abilities from multiple enemy heroes simultaneously. When Barrier Field is released, it'll regenerate its capacity, though if all 200 hit points are absorbed, the barrier will shatter and be unable to be used until the cooldown has been reset. Reinhardt's first ability is called Charge. Reinhardt charges forward in a straight line in the direction he is currently facing, grabbing a hold of enemies in his path. If he collides with a wall, the enemies he's carrying suffer extreme damage. This ability has a massive power behind it and is enough to instantly kill most offense, defense, and support characters if you're able to get a hold of them. You have very limited control when in this ability and can only move horizontally very slightly while constantly moving forward. This means that there is an element of prediction needed in order to grab an enemy that is not directly in front of you. There is also a brief wind-up time before you charge forward, again making prediction a key asset to landing this ability. Charge has a 10-second cooldown. Reinhardt's second ability is called Firestrike. By whipping his rocket hammer forward, Reinhardt slings a flaming projectile which pierces and damages any enemy it touches. This ability does moderate damage but has a fairly slow travel time, again making prediction a valuable asset in landing this ability on enemies that are further away. The benefit of this ability is that it's capable of going through an enemy Reinhardt's barrier, giving you a way of damaging a Reinhardt on the opposing team. This ability can be great for finishing off weak enemies who've gotten out of the limited range of Reinhardt's primary attack. Reinhardt's ultimate ability is called Earth Shatter. Reinhardt slams his rocket hammer into the ground with extreme force, knocking down and damaging all enemies in front of him. The knockdown effect of Reinhardt's ultimate is essentially a stun, immobilizing enemies and making them incapable of performing any attacks or abilities for a short period of time. There is no limit to the number of enemies that his ultimate can affect, so the more you can catch bundled up, the better. Let's talk about some of Reinhardt's strengths and weaknesses. As mentioned already, Reinhardt has 300 health and 200 armor. This gives him a pretty significant advantage over, say, Roadhog when it comes to his damage mitigation abilities. Because armor negates 5 hit points from each bullet, pellet, or projectile that hits him, enemies with fast rate of fire but low damage per bullet weapons like Tracer, Diva, and Bastion will be less of a threat to Reinhardt than to other tanks. Combine this with his ability to absorb 2,000 hit points with his barrier field, and Reinhardt can be a tough SOB to take down. Close range is where Reinhardt excels, as his primary attack is melee only, so the more you can stay within close proximity to your enemy, the better. As soon as enemies get out of the range of your primary attack, it becomes a bit more difficult to be a direct threat, as you have to rely on prediction for your abilities. When in doubt, put up your barrier field so that your teammates can make use of its protection to both push with you and attack the enemies. Be wary if you find yourself at a distance in a one-on-one with some slow-firing but high-damage characters like Genji, Widowmaker, McCree, or Hanzo. These characters have the ability to do a significant amount of damage to your force barrier, and if you want to close the gap on them, you'll need to put your barrier down, likely giving them enough time to finish you off before you can get within range. Also keep in mind that both Winston and Symmetra have primary attacks that can go through your barrier field, so if you see a Winston trying to close in on you or a Symmetra tossing her orbs in your direction, pay attention. Now that we have an understanding of where Reinhardt excels, let's talk about some tips and tactics for how to play him. First and foremost, you are going to be relied on to protect your teammates more than any other tank in the game. Reinhardt is in a unique position in that he has an ability that has no cooldown and no charge time, that can also protect any ally that's standing behind it from most harm in the game. Your team is going to expect you to be in the front and to protect them, which is exactly what you should be doing. As Reinhardt, you need to lead the push on an attacking team, or if defending, be at the front of the line to push the attackers back. If defending, try to find choke points where you can hold up and allow your team to attack through your shield. If you find that your shield is about to break or is already broken, analyze the situation, and if you have your abilities ready and have some backup, use that time to coordinate a large-scale attack with your teammates. If, however, you don't have solid communication or you don't have the majority of your team with you, fall back and let your shield regen. A Reinhardt without a shield and without backup is really ineffective. If you are able to land a charge and grab a lower health enemy, there's a good chance that you'll be able to kill them instantly if you hit a wall. If you don't kill them, they'll be stunned briefly, allowing you to follow up with a melee attack. When they run, use your Firestrike to catch them with some final damage, which, assuming you've done damage from your charge and melee, will almost always be enough to finish them off. Remember, charge can be used to deal damage, initiate, or retreat. If you use it strategically for different situations, you can get a ton of variability out of a single ability. But that's going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know in the comments if you feel better equipped to play Reinhardt now, or if you feel there are some aspects that I may have missed that you want to share. If you liked the video, please leave a like, and if you want to see more content, please subscribe and follow me on Facebook and Twitter, links in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Toast, and I'll talk to you soon.